to try and merge with the other group. And what we're going to practice is an active defense of the library yurt. We're going to put theory into practice, and we're going to all kind of walk over.
I don't see any police yet.
Oh yeah.
They're probably having training as well.
That feels so weird.
Okay, so for the people that were outside, that did already the physical practice, if any of you would like to pretend, take the embodiment to be the police, and if you could go to the far side, the light side of the tent, walk towards the light, go into the light. You can be a police officer. And so, and for people who want to partake in this and to get a feeling for what it's like to be arrested, if you could go on this wall here, and if you don't want to take part, go either to the far end, one way or the other.
I don't see any police officers yet.
Okay, so for those of you who are in the arrestable position, for those of you who want to take part in that, just be aware that the police are going to go through a pretend arrest. So they're going to have to touch you. Okay, so if you're not comfortable with that, you might want to step aside. They're not going to try to hurt you, but they're not going to be the most gentle people ever. Yep. We could have the pretend police just huddle up here for a second while they're
There's the pretend police, and there's the real occupiers.
The safety word is yurt, and if you really are, you're feeling it, just like say yurt, and we'll stop right away, no questions asked, and like is our yurt from the outside.
I don't see any police yet.
Drop, go down, go down. Pause, pause. I want to identify something here. I'm fully in favor of going limp, and like I actually advocate that, and that was going to be part of the second part. Don't go limp like that. When you're like
on your
this,
stomach in the back. That's right.
When they go to pick you up, you're really going to hurt your back.
Yep.
Like they're really going to stress that. So like be cognizant, take the second to fall on your back.
You might not have heard that because of the church bells. You don't go limp on your stomach, because when the police pick you up, your back's going to twist the wrong way.
Rothschilds own the world! Change is coming! Corporate dogs! I won't let you in! Let him go! Let him go! The Rothschilds own the world! Let him go! Let him go! Peaceful protest!
The other thing is you want to make sure that you're between people who think the same way as you do. If they're all like, I'm totally walking out of this, giving myself up, I got a bad shoulder, and you're like, no way, man! Are you going to take me? Okay? So you don't want to be the cause of your colleagues, of your comrades' dismemberments, right? So that's super important to make sure that you talk about that next to you. If you got a whole line and that's all you want to do is hang on tight, well, that's up to you. The other thing you have to know is that if they get nasty or unhappy, they can use pain compliance on you. They can force you physically. Essentially, it's torture. They torture you until you let go, right? For this kind of stuff, it's not so hard for them to just unfold your arms, but, they want to maybe teach the new kids some new stuff. Pain compliance is not fun. They put their thumbs on the pressure point on the back of your jaw. They can do it very quickly and very hard, and it can hurt for months. Really? It is not fun at all. So, they won't necessarily warn you about doing that either. The other thing they can do is put pepper spray. I've seen them put it on like a bit of a Q-tip and walk up and just sort of dab it in your eye with a Q-tip, and that's like an intense burning sensation. Hopefully you'd actually see that coming, and you might want to give up before that, or not. It's up to you. Yeah. So the pain compliance, if you see that they're doing that, it is unfortunately legal for them to do that. Two other quick things is if they're hurting you, and they might be doing it on purpose. They might not know that they're hurting you. just because they've carried 6 other people out that way and it didn't hurt them. You can tell them, like, that really hurts. Like, please stop doing that. It doesn't always work, but at least you've told them that it does. One thing we haven't covered yet is resisting arrest or assaulting police officers, which is really, really important, and it's a hard thing to remember without going through this a number of times. It's about not touching them. Like, they're arresting you, and even if you're like being knocked off guard, like, don't grab hold. Sorry, that has to hurt. Don't grab out. Be careful. Like, be very conscious of what you're doing with your body at that moment. Any touching of the police officer, you're almost guaranteed to get assaulted police officer. Don't try to take their hat off or anything. Like, don't be cute. It's not a moment for that.
And what they do is they close ranks.
We do a timeout just for a second. Okay, so you see right here that they've lost a few people. Now they're stretched out trying to close that gap. It's really important. The ear door might be right behind that. If a police officer decides he's going to walk past you, you want to be extra careful not to try and stop that. If you're in that vulnerable, if you're all snug up, that's fine. They're probably not going to try, but big gap like that, they might try to go over, and if you like try to raise your arms or like last minute try to stop it, bad news. Like, the last thing you want to get is tangled up with a police officer. Even a nice guy is going to feel threatened and caught and is going to react badly. So,
how long will be in jail for?
I don't know. See, I'm not a lawyer. I can't really say that. My best guess would be like they would probably arrest us for the night. You'll be in jail till the morning, probably. It is, as far as we know, the judge's order was kind of said that it was a trespass violation, and so I imagine they're going to be giving trespassing, which is a $65 ticket in Ontario, and it's the equivalent of about getting a speeding ticket.
So it shouldn't be no more than 2 days.
But on the other hand, we don't know that. Police can decide that they're going to charge you, say, with mischief instead, which is a criminal charge.
Oh yeah.
You know, and that is a process of going court, and like, you know, so don't put any weight in anything. We have no idea what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. We can make educated or informed guesses, but that doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to roll. You know, some of the green group can kind of circle and try and watch. I would suggest that the sidewalks are not necessarily 100% safe either. Like, you know, for those that had G20 experiences, like, you know, don't count on anything. There are a couple safe spaces for green people, like the Steelworkers Hall is going to be opened up. And there's another organizing space, I don't know where it is, but what I would suggest that a lot of the green folks do is, like, you know, find out where that jail support is and go down and support that. You know, like, bring your music, bring some food, you know, bring your love, bring your love.
even before that, like if you happen to be here when the police are here, it'll be quickly apparent where people are being dragged off to. It'll likely be the nearest roadway. They're not going to drag people from this end of the park all the way to the other end because it's heavy. So they may bring their wagons in to put people in, or they might leave them on the street and take people there. So you might, I mean, being near to the wagons, like across the street, so you can watch what's happening to those people and give your support there, that might be a reasonable thing to do if you're given that option, for sure. The other thing is, if you're, say, in the park and the police come and they're like, okay, now anybody who's still here in 5 minutes is getting arrested, you might decide to leave. The police, as we saw in the G20, are fond of searching people and trying to get information from you on your way out. Even if they don't have a legal right to do that, they will ask. They will stop you. They'll say, hey, what's your name? They will say, let me look in your bag there, son. Unless you're under arrest.
I did not consent to this search.
Unless you're under arrest, they have no right to search your bag.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? And it doesn't mean that they won't. Like, absolutely right.
Yeah.
But that, what he just said, those magic words, I do not consent to this search. Very, very clear and very obvious. If they're asking you questions and you're refusing to answer, it's not a good idea if they're like standing there, they've got their hand on you, or they're really close just to try and walk away. Ask, am I free to go? And if they ask you another question, am I free to go? That's the only thing you're going to hear. Am I free to go? If it's no, then am I under arrest? Like, you're forcing the issue. You might end up under arrest, but that's your right to say, am I free to go? And if they say yes, then you can. Okay? Yeah.
What the police are allowed to do and what they do are... And I mean, as we saw in G20, I think the attitude of most of the police officers in this city is that we'll let the courts sort it out on what we did wrong and what we didn't. Because they don't really care, and they knew that everyone was going to be caught and released at G20. This is a very similar situation where we're facing like a catch and release thing. Hopefully it's going to be treated with a lot more gentleness than the last time, and respect.
I'm sure it will.
However,
if you are trying to avoid arrest and you're stopped by the police, I mean, if you just want to get out of there, you really don't want to get arrested, you can, talk to them a little bit. You don't have to the whole like, am I free to go? You don't have to push the envelope. You might want to consent to having your backpack searched. It's up to you. If you say no, then they might decide, well, then we're going to arrest you. If that's absolutely something you want to avoid, maybe letting them look at your backpack, that's something that doesn't bother you so much. Given an unjust and unreasonable situation, that's your choice, right? It's up to you.
And then what we're going to do is go do a practice defense. We're going to go practice defending the library.
Here we've got the people protecting the library. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to go all the way around. But there's this group. And over here, they're going to be a group of Mohawks there protecting the sacred fire. 10-10.
Occupy, but I'm a little bit like, I hope not. Yeah.
Taking some pictures. It's getting cold, I have to say.